Brodes Media.
Oh, no. No! Fuck no! What a bad series. I'm pissed. Yo, Trey! Secure the ball! Make a throw. Secure the ball. Set your feet. Make a throw. What was step one? Oh. Secure the ball. Hey, Weston. You showing off your footwork out there. You look like a ballerina. You're practicing your dance moves. Here he is, twisting and turning, doing a whole little body turn. Oh, holy hell, the ball went over my head. Disgrace, especially knowing what the Brewers did to you Saturday night. This was a chance to stop the bleeding. Sunday afternoon, the way Ranger was going, and it wasn't the best offensive performance by any means, but you could win a game 2-1. You could win a game maybe 3-2, 3-1 in a quieter offensive performance, but sharp defensively. How fucking stupid does that sound right now? But maybe, just maybe, you can execute on the little things. You can have a spectacular pitching performance and win the game to get an answer you were looking for. Instead, and I can't even process this. They threw up profusely all over themselves Sunday afternoon. Can't lose that game. Can't lose it. They have an off day Monday. Maybe it's a good thing that they have to soak in it, bathe in it, feel it, wear it before this series starts with the Toronto Blue Jays on Tuesday. But without Bryce Harper, this team is a mess. And while, yes, losing a superstar, losing a threat, even if he's not necessarily the red hottest we've ever seen Bryce Harper, his presence matters to the aura of the squad. When you show up to the ballpark and Bryce Harper's in the lineup, the needle moves for everybody. Whether it's how it should be, whether it's how it shouldn't be that much, the truth is, it is. But somebody needs to step up outside of Kyle. Kyle's been there. Kyle's doing everything in his power as much as he can as a DH. Even had a little check swing that helped secure some momentum on the base paths. So he's doing it with the long ball. He's doing it with the check swing. I would really love Trey Turner, $300 million man number 2, to put the team on his back when Bryce is plunked. And this series hurts. Not only because of how bad Saturday was. And Saturday, I mean, you were down 12-0 in the fourth. 17-1 in the sixth. That was the worst game ever. It was actually so bad, I couldn't turn it off. Normally when it's that bad, I don't want to see you. I don't want to think about you. I don't want to consume you. I want to throw you away in the trash. But it was actually so laughable watching Reese hit 2, 3-run jacks, 6 RBI. And I was told he wouldn't help this team. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Oh, my God. There's not even a doubt in my mind he would help this team if you could hypothetically get him at the deadline, but that's sort of a conversation for another day. And I did that show that I uploaded here on Brodes Media on WIP yesterday. Anyway, you can check that out. I was so intrigued by how bad it was going to get that my eyes were glued to the television. But it's not only about that. It's about how you lost Bryce against the Braves. And you know, somebody said this in my comments after I uploaded the Phillies split the doubleheader against the Atlanta Braves podcast. And I was happy that they at least won the series. Disappointed there was no response. Disappointed there was no pulse. Disappointed that nobody even had 1 foot over the railing to try and scream at Spencer Strider. The fact that organically nobody had that thought, nobody had that reaction, that's almost impossible. That's bad. The more and more I think about it, it gets worse. There's no way in hell you're not holding everybody back. But the comment stated, while you may have taken 2 out of 3, and let's not forget how close it was to going the other way if a Sean Murphy bomb didn't just go a hair foul. They got to your best pitcher in Zach Wheeler, and they took out your best player. Who really won? And they followed up that statement by Atlanta by getting the wheels and taking out Bryce with the flattest series of the season. Their offense sucks. How many groundouts happened Friday night? I lost count after 62. Just feeble groundouts over and over and over again. And by the way, who was pitching? Oh, nobody. 2 nobodies. Tell me who Hall is. Someone tell me who Hall is. Tell me who Priester is. Be honest. You have no clue. Don't baseball reference him. Don't baseball savant these clowns. They're nobodies. And I had to listen to Fransky, and I had to listen to McCarthy talk about, oh, well, the amount of walks this guy has all year. Then how come we're not walking? He's walking everybody on planet Earth, yet the Phillies can't find a way to walk it because they're attacking early in the count, rolling it over. Just weak-ass contact after weak-ass contact after weak-ass contact. It's a joke. Their offense is non-existent without Bryce apparently outside of Kyle. It's terrible. I don't want to hear about the 9th inning either when they were down 17 to whatever. That's like the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The score was really 40-6. Whatever it was, 40-6, something like that. I don't even know what it ended with. That's how bad of a beatdown it was. That 9th inning, come on, man. Yeah, Weston Wilson pitched. How embarrassing. How pathetic. I'm watching Weston Wilson. But the strike zone when Wilson, I watched everything. I'm not lying to you. I watched every pitch to the point where I know the difference in the strike zone when Weston Wilson was on the bump compared to what the Brewers had to throw out there in the 9th. They actually had to earn it. If they had the same strike zone Weston Wilson got, that 9th inning would have never happened. That would have been non-existent too, just like all the other offensive innings. A joke. Man, talk about flatlining at the worst time. How come nobody can rise to the occasion? And speaking of flatlining, yeah, Rob, I'm sorry. You can't have Jesus Luzardo take that type of beating. You have to find the fine line, there's no doubt about it, of allowing someone like Zach Wheeler, let's say, when they don't have their best stuff, you don't just yank them as if they're, some scrub. You let them try and work out of it. And I completely agree with that. But you left in Luzardo way too long. Hit, gap, gapper, gap, hit, single, hit. Get him out of the game! And if you're worried about your bullpen being thin, sorry. Your bullpen being thin and having to eat it is significantly more important. Making that happen is significantly more important than Luzardo eating it. There's something to be said about protecting your top guns. His ERA jumps through the roof. Now his numbers look awful. You got to protect. He didn't have it. You had to get out way in front of that. I don't care if it's Tanner Banks, and you know how much I hate watching Tanner Banks. Think about how funny this is. On Friday night, they utilized Tanner Banks lefty-lefty with Christian Yelich, thinking that that was an advantage because the Taijuan Walker experience happened to be a dud again, and he took it to Mars. But I'm hearing from Dave and Rob how much they love Tanner Banks and how well he's pitched for them. He's the same guy that gets into the game when it's 15-1, 17-0. How much do you like the guy then? How much do you like him if you're throwing him in slop at the end? And maybe it goes back to what I was saying, which is when you're so desperate, when you're so thin, and when you don't have bodies, someone's going to have to eat it, and it may be someone that you don't want to necessarily put in that spot. But I mean, that's Tanner Banks' role. The role he had in that Saturday game, that's his real role. Everything else he's trying is terrible. Should have put Banks in way earlier than that. Ay, ay, ay. That's how they responded to the ass whooping. That's how they responded. With the $300 million man not being able to control a routine ground ball. You know, it's funny. I keep hearing, well, it was hit hard. Shut your mouth. Shut up. That's embarrassing. You're going to sit here, reflect on that moment, and say Trey Turner had a difficult ground ball to get. Stop it. You suck. You suck. If you think that that was harsh. Come on, man. This is Major League Baseball. That's a routine grounder to get out of this thing. You have to make that play. If you can't make that play, you can't win a championship. You need to make those level plays to win a championship. If that's going to stop you, then it's a mess. And I already know it's a mess, but it's a real mess. This guy has 40-plus errors in an era, by the way, where they barely even count errors. I was surprised they even put that on the score sheet as an error. No, in this crap league right now, he should have about 80 errors since signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. But why? Why can't I rely on someone like Trey taking over when you lose such an important piece, when your most valuable weapon is out due to injury, when nobody stepped up for the man? How come? How come it is so flat and no one besides Kyle decides to show up to play or at least execute at a high enough clip? You know, your trying's all great. Whoop-de-damn-do. Getting paid a lot of money. I need you to actually execute. And nobody's there. Ranger deserved so much better, it's not even funny. So I almost wonder. We discussed reflecting on this season and where there can be needle-moving moments. It wasn't so much the Pittsburgh series. It wasn't so much the Rocky series, but there was something about that A series, the one game that went into 2 a.m., and they really grinded it out, and whenever you counted them out, here's Max Kepler in the 9th off Mason Miller. They got to Mason Miller a handful of times. It was a remarkable effort, and I thought there was something special about that group. Keep in mind, Bryce was not injured at that time, but that moved the needle for me. Their lack of response as a team to Bryce and that no pulse attitude, that hurt me so much. That is really sinking into my core that I now have questions. And now that I see their response to the no response, like if they went out there and won their next 7 baseball games, then I'd say, you know what, I may not love what they did. I probably would have handled it differently. I would have at least barked at Spencer Strider, so then I could get the reaction of him going, hey, my bad, dude, look, I would never try and do that. And I want to see him have that dialogue with the few guys that are waiting at the first base line. They at least get over the dugout and they say a few words, exchange a couple things, and you see Spencer Strider go like, I would, come on, man, listen. I would never try and intentionally do that. At least get that type of back and forth, and from there we can address accordingly. But I would have been out of my mind. I mean, you don't think in those moments. You just protect. If the core is one, then it's a no-brainer. So now I'm starting to wonder if this core is one. I don't know if they are one. I thought they were after the A's. I don't know if they are anymore. But even if they rattled off 7 wins, 8 wins, whatever, they go on this crazy nice winning streak after the non-pulse, then I'd say I don't love it, but it clearly didn't affect them. They clearly internalized that moment a lot different than we do from the outside. And quite frankly, as much as we feel a certain type of way, it's not about us. It's about how they react inside. Well, look at how they reacted inside. They got swept by Milwaukee. Rhys Hoskins comes back to town. He annihilates you. He hits a couple of moon shots. I mean, this wasn't even close. You had to win this Sunday afternoon game. You had to stop the bleeding. You needed to settle things down. Because I was sort of contemplating how I would have handled things when I was watching Ranger deal and I was thinking about how this game was going. I was like, okay, let's say before the game was even over, we were about 4 or 5 innings in. They do win this one. And they lose the first 2 the way they did, but they had a nice game 3 and they stopped the bleeding. Well, then we could sit here and talk as a fan base about what's more important. The way Sunday happened, where they pitched really well, they played a nice, clean game. Maybe their offense wasn't lovely, but they needed to win. And you needed to be in control of that win. And while it wasn't the most outrageous, epic performance ever, you needed to win that Sunday game knowing how bad Saturday was and knowing how bad Friday night was. Those groundouts. Is that more of the takeaway from the weekend, or is it the beatdown? Because you know what? When you lose 17-7's fake. That's not real. 17-1, 16-0, 15-0, whatever score you feel is reasonable. I'm going with 17-0. I don't even know if that was ever actually a thing on the scoreboard, but in my mind, 17-0 feels right. Those weird games, they're so bad that it's like an outlier, you know? I would have looked at it potentially that way, that it's an outlier. Now I wonder, is this similar to when the San Francisco 49ers came into the link and broke you? Why can't I ask that question now? Now I need to know if that was the difference between a team that was maybe going to do something seriously. This Sunday game, you stop the bleed. Maybe I feel there's more in you. And now I'm wondering if you're the same team that collapsed when the Eagles had to play San Fran at home after all that smack talking and chirping back and forth throughout the offseason. That's a huge extreme, unfortunately. It was a lot of weight on this game 3. And who knows, maybe you get this new pitching staff with Abel coming in for Taijuan Walker to move to the pen and Aaron Nola's throwing his bullpen. And there's some things that are going to change around a bit, which impacts your bullpen arms and whatnot, even though they need a lot still. Things are going to change. Bryce Harper hopefully returns for this Toronto series. So for as quickly as I'm now asking this question after the A series where I was happy, now if it all falls in line and Bryce comes back and he does really well his first game and he helps you win game 1 and then you take off from there, I can go right back the other way rather quickly. But as we sit here now, I am confused. I am broken. I need to vent because this can't happen. I know bad series happens and it's a thing and you're going to lose a series here and there and you're going to get swept and then you're going to sweep a team that you probably don't think you're going to sweep. You're going to go on the road. You're going to win 2 out of 3 against a team that's on a 10-game winning streak and all this stuff. And you go, all right, well, then that counterbalances the poor loss that you had in late May, early June against Milwaukee. But until I see that moment, this hurts. This stings. That was so flat. It's back to the no post thing. When this team flatlines, they flatline. They're doing the extreme again. When they're hot, it's unbelievable and it's the best. When they go cold and when they look out of sync and when they look poor and when they lose everything, detail-wise, and they can't make simple plays defensively, this team is so aggravating, it makes my toes curl. My toes are curling right now. If there weren't sickos on the internet that screenshot feet and lick pictures of them, I'd show you. Got no socks on. The good thing is I can walk outside in my backyard without socks on because my grass is the best ever. And it's the best ever because of my friends over at Green Lawn Fertilizing. Green Lawn Fertilizing is based in the Philadelphia area. They're the best in market. Experts in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. They're so knowledgeable. They've created their own custom blend that has helped my lawn recover from the drought. Last year, I didn't pay attention to my lawn. And then I sat down with the experts that really educated me on what the proper steps would be and the treatments that my lawn could use and how each step would help everything kind of go about its business. And now we are through that journey of multiple different treatments, and my eyes light up thinking about my dogs being able to run around on this grass, my daughter being able to play in the backyard on this grass as well. And you should join me. Green Lawn Fertilizing have clearly started making millions of homeowners excited about their lawns since we kind of kicked into gear here with the nicer weather. And you should join us all by clicking the link down below in the description. That link will tell them that Brodes sent you, and it will have 50% off your first 2 treatments applied. So when I tell you I have people stopping over at my house, family, my brother hasn't been here for a while. He's moving up to Boston. He stopped by. He said, holy hell, what the hell did you do to your lawn? I said, Green Lawn Fertilizing. When you get to Boston, you do the same damn thing. Well, actually, it's New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. But you get my point. If you were to buy a house in, this is terrible, but you buy a house here in South Jersey, screw Boston, you go to Green Lawn Fertilizing. You listening right now, Green Lawn Fertilizing. Make sure you check it out. All right, let's go to the phone, shall we? Let's go to the phones, listen to the people. As we do that, I am going to look up what Rob Thompson said postgame because I just jumped right into the studio as soon as that final pitch happened. I was so pissed off. Let's do it.
Way to go, Trey Turner! Way to go! Way to go! Way to let your team down! That's awesome! Thank you! $300 million! Can't make a fucking play! Fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Way to let your team down. What a joke. Fucking joke.
Perfectly said. I don't even know if I need to continue. I don't even know if I have to react. That's the passion I'm looking for. I agree that this is the type of stuff that irritates me. And now I'm starting to see, as much as I was starting to go easy on Trey, he does the whole batting average thing, or excuse me, on base percentage thing, right? And he gets on base and this and that. But unless you have Bryce Harper, then it doesn't mean anything. Unless you have other guys, that doesn't mean anything. Again, $300 million. If Bryce wasn't here, you'd be a face of a franchise. If Trey was doing things where it's like Kyle, like I know one guy can't make it all happen, but we can all respectfully watch what Kyle Schwarber has been doing. And even through this rough stretch and rough series against Milwaukee, say you can't blame that guy. I need it to be with Trey, where if they're losing and maybe the bullpen fails or somebody doesn't do their job, we go, but I can't really blame Trey. Yeah, Trey, just not cutting it. Just not cutting it. That OBP doesn't do much. You can only do so much as OBP. I need more than you just being OBP. I need you to make a serious impact. So the second I start getting soft, I got to realize it's time to get hard. That's the truth. Rob Thompson says we have to clean things up. Oh, you don't say. We needed to clean things up 3 years ago. If we're being honest, this isn't the first time we're talking about their inconsistency with the damn glove and the leather. They've been brutal in that area since we've been watching this team. This new core and this new development of Phillies baseball and their playoff run, this has been a problem forever. It's probably because they got guys who shouldn't be playing shortstop. They got guys who shouldn't be playing left field. Oh, man. Oh, no. Here's a question about, I need to hear the audio of this, and I'm afraid to. Because the question is, how much does Rob Thompson believe poor defense has hurt the Phillies through 59 games? What do you think his answer is? I don't know what he says here. I can't see it. It's not written down in quotes. This is legitimate audio. If he says it's not a big deal that their defense is what it is, I'm going to punch my computer. I'm going to legitimately punch my computer. Here's Rob Thompson's answer.
You as a team in the first 59 games overall?
I don't know how to put a number on it, but I think we played very well at times. And the last couple of days kind of stands out as not playing well. But I think we've improved over last year, and I think Trey's played a lot better this year than he did last year. So he's improving. So I don't know how to put a number on it, but it looks bad right now because of the last 2 days.
Oh, that's because your team stinks defensively. That's why it looks bad right now to make a comment like that. Here's another quote. Not only do we have to play better, but I have to manage better. Huh. No, it's probably something like this. I have to manage better. Not only do we have to play better, but I have to manage better. I have to manage better. I have to manage better than I'm managing now. Next question. Back to the phones.
Well, that was a pretty brutal series, and honestly, homestand 2-4. Just horrible from the offense. Even without Bryce Harper, you got a lot of money in this lineup. They do absolutely nothing. It's the same lineup that we've ran back for 3 to 4 years. They're probably going to add another Austin Hayes at the deadline, and that's about it, and they'll fizzle out in the playoffs. There's too many holes on this team right now. We're missing like a whole bullpen. Going to be hard to fix that. And they'll probably overlook adding a bat at the deadline. They should move Harper back to the outfield and get the best player available. They should be looking at getting the best player available as a hitter anyway and move whoever to the outfield, even if that's Trey Turner. I know it's unrealistic, but that error today was horrible. But there are a lot of holes on this team, and when we face good teams, it shows.
It shouldn't be unrealistic. You mentioning that Trey Turner thing getting moved and changing positions, that should not be unrealistic. Now, it tells you about where this franchise is, that it is unrealistic. But, I mean, come on, man. We're talking about Rojas, who had 6 hits in the month of May. We're talking about Brandon Martin. These guys aren't good enough. They're not good enough. They're just not good enough. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening at the deadline. I can't imagine it being a big swing, although there's a report out there about Mullins, right? We saw that report over the last couple of days or so. Then there's the report about Chapman. Chapman's 38 years old. You know, hey, Chapman, everyone's going to be excited because the name screams real closer. Yeah, we're talking about 38-year-old Chapman. Who knows? I mean, listen, that probably is better than anything you got in there. I'm still mad at some of the guys in the pen today. You know, I'm hearing some soft Phillies fans saying, well, it's not Kerkering's fault because of, you know, the defensive play and then maybe the strike zone wasn't lovely. But that shot to the right field wall that went all the way in the corner that allowed the Brewers to do what they did. Look, guys, especially on this team, guys are going to fuck up. Guys are going to fail. Guys are going to be miserable. There is something to be said about having stones and shutting it down anyway. Okay, so Trey fucked up. Guys fucked up. Weston Wilson ruined Ranger Suarez, and he had to get pulled out of the game and all this stuff, right? All that happened. Don't allow the ball to go to the right field wall. Don't get beat and allow the ball to go to the corner for the Milwaukee Brewers to take the lead and beat you. Where's that? I mean, if Aaron Nola did something like that, he'd get crushed. Same applies to if Aaron Nola did what Luzardo did. They'd be saying Aaron Nola blows. You know? Like, I don't think Luzardo blows all of a sudden. But I do wonder how he's going to respond to that. That's a story for another day. See, there's so many mini stories off of just the pain and suffering of watching these 3 games. The Abel stuff, the Nola update, Walker to the pen. What does that mean? There's like 75 different stories to chew on. But I guess here's a way to look at it in a negative, unfortunately, is if you have that many stories to talk about and you think you're a World Series contender, then there's just too much wrong. Bryce, where he's at, then there's just too much wrong. Because what type of World Series contenders have 75 things to debate? 75 things to worry about. There may be one or two areas that you go, hey, if they are to fall, this is their weaker part of their roster. Because every team has a weaker version, a weaker portion of their roster. It's somewhere. Maybe they lack in left field, or they're lacking a seventh inning guy, or they're lacking maybe a closer, but they do it by committee, but they're so good in all these other areas. This one's like, well, if you do this, you do that, but if you do this, you have to get after this guy, and then you got to trade for this guy. Can you move this guy's position? How about how many World Series contenders are we talking about moving their $300 million shortstop to other positions because he can't field a routine ground ball? I just wonder, when we start really getting into the thick of it, the amount of times you're asking all these different questions looking for answers. Well, that's a lot of answers to look for. Now, to be fair and to be objective, there's a long time until October. So there's a long time to figure out these answers, but it's disappointing we have this many questions, because I don't think real contenders that get it done have this many questions to shore up. All right, we'll wrap things up with Sean here.
The thing I'll take away from this series, maybe the home stand overall, Hunter, is that this team just has a lot of dead weight. I mean, why is Weston Wilson, on this team? What is this guy providing you? What are guys like Carlos Hernandez providing? Joe Ross, Tanner Banks. I mean, how can you legitimize to your fans that Mick Abel, even if you were to bring him out of the pen, isn't a more viable option than those guys? How can you justify not giving, Justin Crawford a chance? Or even a Gabriel Rincones, an Otto Kemp? I mean, come on. What you're getting at the major league level is not good enough. When you are relying on your starting pitching to have to pitch a shutout every night, that's not good enough. And the starting pitching overall up until lately has been good enough to mask the deficiencies of this club. And there are many. But in these last couple games, not today notwithstanding, they weren't good enough.
That's a good point, actually. And that's something to watch and monitor. That's a good point. We'll settle it down here, and then we'll regroup and talk about this team more throughout the week, of course. But you're right. I mean, you're no longer like super fresh. These guys are starting to get a lot of starts under their belts. Nola banged up. We'll have to monitor Luzardo and whatnot. But you're right. I mean, at some point, once you start rolling into June, before you know it, it'll be July. I can't believe it's already June. Then the wear and tear is on these guys. And are they going to look the same way they did when the season began, through their first couple of starts when they were rolling and hitters weren't in their groove yet and all that? And then, of course, like, you're going to need the most ridiculous effort on a night-to-night basis, and that may be unfair to ask when everything settles, when you get back to the mean, when you get back to the standard, I don't know if everything's been, like, moving, early in the year, everything's not settled down yet. Pitching's not through their first 5-6 starts. Hitters aren't comfortable yet. Once things start to get comfortable, wear and tear happens. Hitters start to feel consistency and get to the ballpark every day and have rhythm in their own sense. How much does that even everything out? And are the pitchers going to even out a bit and not be as dominant because they've been otherworldly? Just a fair question. Maybe the answer is they are this elite. But I think it's fair to ask the question. We'll stop there. Appreciate you guys. I love you. You're the best. We'll be talking soon. Go Phils.